Hello my friends and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. So yes, that was a missed opportunity. What am I talking about? I don't know if you remember when the Russians retreated and Ukrainians had that counteroffensive and that gained so much terrain, so much land from 27% that the Russians had got to 18%. If you remember right then when the Russians moved on the other side of the Dnieper River, moved all that shit on the other side. Remember that time? It was about 2 months ago or so? That was the counteroffensive of the Ukrainians. That was the apex of their success. That's it. That was it. Remember when then General Mark Milley, the American guy who is the senior advisor of Joe Biden, he told Joe Biden, hey, and told Zelensky, and he was not the only one, there were some other ones who told Zelensky, now it's time to negotiate with Russia. Now is the best time for you. After all these victories that you got, that you didn't get so far, now you can negotiate from a position of power, upper hand. Zelensky said, niet. No. And then Milley leaked that to the press that he told Biden, and Biden said, what the fuck are you talking about? Where's my... and leave me alone, basically. So that's what happened. Now, the Russians did the partial mobilization, rearranged everything for a defensive, and the talk is that they are right now in an offensive in Bakhmut and Avdiivka, and are going straight forward westward. And they're all shitting their pants, they being NATO and Ukrainians, shitting their pants that in January and February Russia will start another big offensive, and that would be like the last push. I haven't heard Ukrainians preparing any counteroffensive whatsoever. What I hear that the Americans and their European vassal states from NATO are at the maximum of providing ammunition and weapons to Ukraine, saying, oh my god, we're depleted, we can't give you more. Remember that one? The Ukrainians, I didn't hear them being capable of anything. They just ask, give us. The other guys, yeah, we're gonna give you, but we don't have any more. So now Zelensky come with this idea that possibly if or after the Russian offensive in February, he's got a peace plan ready. So he's waiting for the Russians, but he also thinks that he will somehow gain and have again the upper hand, that he lost that momentum. So in order to start it over, I don't know what he's going to do. I haven't heard anything about any offensive coming from Ukraine. So this article here tells us that actually Zelensky will unveil a peace plan in February, if he's going to be alive and Ukraine will be still under one ruler. This article comes from the New Voice of Ukraine from December 22, 2022. And this is the title. Zelensky to unveil peace plan in February. Wall Street Journal reports. It was WSJ, okay, Washington State Journal. Well, according to the report, Kiev seeks to maximize its negotiating positions by securing as many military victories as it can. I think that train left the station 2 months ago. I think. Since then, the Russians said, yeah, it's not going to be a military operation, it's going to be a war. Okay, let's mobilize, let's bring more troops, bring more weapons, and we're going to do something else now. We changed. That's why Putin today, they say, oh my God, Putin for the first time called the special military operation in Ukraine a war. Yeah, because in their head it changed. It changed when they realized, well, wait a second, we are fighting the whole NATO over here, and this is not a operation anymore, a special military operation. This is a war against those weasels. Certainly they have more information than we know, and they give us. Who's controlling that? Who's in charge of the Ukrainian military? Who's operating the HIMARS? Who's going to operate the systems, the Patriot systems, and so on? Remember, Americans have inspectors, about 1,000, I think it was, inspectors who see where the weapons are going? Do you think those are just inspectors like, okay, yeah, oh, okay, no? And they got some so-called military advisors. I would challenge you to look in history and see when the United States used military advisors in Vietnam, what they were doing actually in Vietnam. They were not advising whatsoever. They were pa-pa-pa-pa-pa-paying whatsoever. So, and Zelensky thinks that he's going to maximize his negotiating position by securing as many military victories as he can. All right, that means in the next week or so, we're going to find out that you are going to engage in a counteroffensive or in an offensive or something. Otherwise, how are we going to maximize secure military victories? In what way? Those guys are attacking. You're again in the ropes. But for the past 2 months, you haven't been gaining territory. But anyway, I don't know what they plan with the Americans. I don't know what the Americans are going to do. But anyway, this is what he said. And that's his plan, I guess. EU diplomats told Wall Street Journal that Russian dictator Vladimir Putin still hopes to launch another major offensive between February and April 2023. Now everything moves back more. It's unbelievable. First they said at the end of this year, and then they said at the beginning of the year, and they said January, February. Now it's February, April. And again, they say that Putin hopes to launch. I haven't heard him saying anything. Did you hear him saying it? Did you hear Lavrov saying anything? Did you hear Shoigu saying anything? Did you hear Peskov? Did you hear Zakharova saying anything about, and we are going to conduct a counter-offensive next year on the 15th of February 2023. So get ready and get your popcorn to watch. Is that what it is? I mean, this is all coming from these people. You know what I mean? So, after April 2023, and therefore is unlikely to seriously consider negotiations before he can see if the plan pans out. So they say, well, the Russians are going to counterattack somehow, have an offensive, conduct an offensive in, now it's February to April, and after that to see the results, then they're going to say, are we going to negotiate or not? Remember, the Russians, I didn't hear them saying, well, we're not going to negotiate. If you want to negotiate, come over. Red Rover. Only the Ukrainians said, oh, we're not going to talk to that. They even have a law that nobody should negotiate with Putin. Is that still available? Still active? Anyway, so Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, Valery Zaluzny. We start hearing about this guy. This is the consecutive fourth day when I read this guy's name in the Ukrainian news outlets. I haven't heard this guy maybe 3 times since February 24th, and one time it was about 3 months ago or so when he got called out by Zelensky's office that he's becoming too popular. Remember when he made some statements, and then he got you are challenging our boss's how do you call it, popularity here, so you can't do that. And he said, okay, well, I was asked a question, I'm gonna go back and defend the country, I don't have to talk. So that's not a friendship over there. So now again we hear about Zaluzny. His name is starting to be repeated. I don't know what's going to happen. So Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, Valery Zaluzny, earlier said Russia could launch another offensive in February 2023, either in Donbass or towards Kiev, attacking from across the Belarus border. They need to bring more troops over there. They can't attack with how much you got over there. US-based Institute for Study of War assessed that Russian forces could embark on another push in Kharkiv or Donetsk Oblast. On October 4th, Zelensky ruled out any potential talks with Putin. But then he softened his stance. That was when they told him, hey, Macron, Sullivan, Kirkby, and what's his name, Biden, they told him, hey, maybe you could, maybe you should talk to the Russians. And he was a little bit like this, and then he softened his stance, saying that a formula for direct talks with Russia's current leadership could eventually be found. That's all he said. So again, the title here is Zelensky to unveil peace plan in February. So that means they want like this. So if the Russians are going to start from February to April, he wants to unveil the peace plan after they do something now at the end of December, the whole January, and after, if they succeed anything in this 2 months or month and whatever, 10 days, how many they are, 5 days, 7 days. So in 1 month, if they do anything in that, they hope to achieve as much as they can in that, and they say, hey, we want a peace. They want to go back in to get where they were. Remember 2 months ago in October when they had the upper hand. They want to repeat that. I don't think it's going to happen. Why? Because the Russians brought more troops on the ground. So maybe they will, maybe, I don't know, we'll find out. But they missed that opportunity, and that, I think, for me is a an admission. We'll see if they're gonna ask for negotiations. I hope they will succeed in at least discussing certain things, and they will not disagree, and they will disagree, and then they will talk again, and they will disagree again, and they will work here, tweak there, and we'll see what happens. In the meantime, people will still die, unfortunately. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.